the country everyone skips. Thailand gets 40 million tourists every year. Vietnam gets 18 million. Laos, 4 million. Everyone skips it. Sandwiched between two giants, landlocked with no beaches and limited infrastructure, Laos has become Southeast Asia's forgotten country. But I spent 2 weeks in Laos, and I discovered why it might be the best country in Southeast Asia that nobody talks about. This is Laos, the slowest, quietest, most underrated country in Asia. And here's why it's worth your time. Chapter 1. What is Laos? Before we go deeper, let me tell you what Laos actually is, because most people cannot even point to it on a map. Laos, officially the Lao People's Democratic Republic, is a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It borders Thailand to the west, Vietnam to the east, Cambodia to the south, and Myanmar and China to the north. The population is about 7.5 million people. The capital is Vientiane, a sleepy riverside city that feels more like a large town than a capital. The official language is Lao, though it is very similar to Thai. Most people in tourist areas speak basic English, but outside those areas, communication can be difficult. Laos is a communist country. It has been since 1975, when the Pathet Lao took power after years of civil war and heavy American bombing during the Vietnam War. Today, Laos is one of the poorest countries in Southeast Asia. The GDP per capita is around $2,500 USD per year. For context, Thailand's is over $7,800. But poverty does not always mean misery. And Laos proves that, because what Laos lacks in wealth, it makes up for in peace. And that peace is what makes it special. Chapter 2. Why nobody visits, and why that's perfect. So why do only 4 million people visit Laos every year? Let's be honest, Laos has no beaches. It is landlocked. Thailand has Phuket, Krabi, Koh Samui. Vietnam has Ha Long Bay, Phu Quoc. Cambodia has Angkor Wat. Laos has rivers and mountains. It has limited infrastructure. Roads are rough. Buses are slow. Flights are expensive. Getting around Laos requires patience. In Thailand, you can hop on a sleek bus with Wi-Fi and air conditioning and cross the country in comfort. In Laos, you take a cramped minibus on winding mountain roads and pray you do not get carsick. There is no party scene. Vientiane shuts down by 11 p.m. Even Luang Prabang, the tourist hub, is quiet by midnight. If you want nightlife, Laos is not your place. And English is limited. Outside of Luang Prabang and Vang Vieng, very few people speak English fluently. You will struggle with menus, directions, and basic conversations. So yes, Laos is harder to travel than its neighbors. But here is the thing. That is exactly why it is worth visiting. Because while Thailand drowns in tourists and Vietnam hustles you at every corner, Laos just exists. Quietly, slowly, peacefully. And in a world obsessed with speed and convenience, that slowness feels like a gift. Chapter 3. Luang Prabang, the jewel of Laos. My journey started in Luang Prabang, a small town nestled between mountains and the Mekong River. Luang Prabang is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the most touristy place in Laos. But even touristy here is calm. The town is a blend of French colonial architecture and traditional Lao temples. Baguette shops sit next to Buddhist monasteries. Monks in orange robes walk past cafes serving espresso. Every morning at dawn, something happens that feels sacred. The alms-giving ceremony. Hundreds of monks walk in silent procession through the streets, while locals kneel and offer sticky rice, fruit, and snacks. Tourists come to watch. Some participate, though many do so without understanding the respect required. I sat quietly and watched. The monks moved like water. No hurry, no sound except bare feet on pavement and the rustle of robes. It felt less like tourism and more like witnessing something timeless. Luang Prabang's main attraction is not a single temple or monument. It is the atmosphere. Walking along the Mekong at sunset, watching fishermen cast nets, sitting in a cafe with no Wi-Fi, just river sounds and distant temple bells. About 30 kilometers outside town is Kuang Si Waterfalls, turquoise pools cascading through jungle. Water so blue it looks photoshopped. Unlike crowded waterfalls in Thailand, Kuang Si felt peaceful. Yes, there were tourists, but not hundreds. Maybe 50. I spent 3 hours there, swimming, sitting on rocks, watching waterfall. No agenda. No rush, just time. Luang Prabang taught me the first lesson of Laos. Slow down, or miss everything. Chapter 4. Vang Vieng. From party hell to nature heaven. From Luang Prabang, I took a 4-hour bus ride south to Vang Vieng. The road wound through mountains. Every turn revealed rice fields, limestone karsts, and villages clinging to hillsides. Vang Vieng has a reputation. In the 2000s, it was Southeast Asia's most notorious party town. Backpackers would float down the Nam Song River on inner tubes, stopping at riverside bars blasting music, serving buckets of alcohol and offering drugs openly. People died every year. Drownings, overdoses, falls. In 2012, the Lao government cracked down. Bars were shut. Rules were enforced. The party ended, and Vang Vieng transformed. Today, it is an outdoor adventure paradise. Hot air balloons float over karst mountains at sunrise. Kayakers paddle down the Nam Song. Rock climbers scale limestone cliffs. Cave explorers venture into Tham Chang and Blue Lagoon caves. I rented a scooter and spent 3 days exploring. The Blue Lagoon, a natural pool fed by mountain springs, was crowded but beautiful. Local kids jumped off rope swings while tourists lounged in the water. I visited Tham Pu Kam, a cave with a reclining Buddha inside. Climbing up the muddy path, I passed locals selling snacks and cold drinks. Inside the cave, it was dark and cool. The Buddha statue glowed in the dim light from the entrance. A few tourists whispered. Mostly, it was silent. Vang Vieng's main street has cafes with hammocks, pizza restaurants, and tour agencies. But step off that street, and you find rice fields, water buffalo, and villages where life has not changed in decades. One evening, I sat by the river at sunset. No music, no bars, just the sound of water and distant roosters. A local man sat nearby, fishing. We did not speak. We did not need to. Vang Vieng taught me the second lesson of Laos. Even places with dark pasts can heal. Chapter 5. The pace. AOS is the slowest country in Asia. One thing becomes clear very quickly in Laos. Nothing happens fast. Buses leave late. Meals take an hour to arrive. Conversations move slowly. At first, this frustrated me. I am used to efficiency. I am used to things happening when they are supposed to happen. But Laos does not care about your schedule. And slowly, I stopped caring too. There is a Lao phrase, Bor Pen Yang. It means, no worries, never mind, or it's okay. You hear it constantly. Bus, 2 hours late, Bor Pen Yang. Restaurant out of half the menu, Bor Pen Yang. Rain ruined your plans, Bor Pen Yang. It is not laziness, it is philosophy. Life will happen at its own pace. Fighting it only creates stress. I started waking up without an alarm, eating when I was hungry, not when it was mealtime, walking without a destination. And something strange happened. I relaxed. For the first time in years, I was not checking my phone every 5 minutes. I was not planning the next thing while doing the current thing. I was just present. Laos does that. It forces you to slow down, and in that slowness, you remember what it feels like to just exist. Not produce, not achieve, just be. Chapter 6. The people, food, and Buddhism. Lao people are shy, not unfriendly, not cold, just reserved. In Thailand, vendors call out to you. In Vietnam, in Laos, people wait for you to approach them. They smile, they help if you ask, but they do not impose. It took me a few days to realize this is not unfriendliness. It is respect for space. Food in Laos is simple, but delicious. Sticky rice is the foundation. Every meal includes it. You eat it with your hands, rolling it into small balls and dipping it into sauces, or eating it with grilled meat. Larb is the national dish. Minced meat, usually chicken or pork, mixed with herbs, lime, and toasted rice powder. It is sour, salty, spicy, and addictive. Tam mak hum, Lao papaya salad, is spicier than the Thai version. Much spicier. I learned that the hard way. And yes, they eat insects. Freed crickets, silkworm larvae, bamboo worms, water bugs. I tried crickets. Crunchy, salty, not bad, honestly. Buddhism is everywhere. Temples in every village. Monks in every town. The sound of temple bells at dawn and dusk. But it is not performative. In Thailand, temples are tourist attractions. In Laos, they are lived. I visited Phat Luang in Vientiane, the most sacred stupa in Laos. Gold. Towering. Stunning. There were maybe 20 people there. Half were locals praying. In Thailand, a site like this would have hundreds of tourists. Laos has more Buddhist monks per capita than Thailand. You see them everywhere. Walking, studying, cleaning temples. Young boys, sometimes as young as 8 or 9, ordained temporarily to earn merit for their families. Buddhism in Laos is quiet. Personally, it does not sell itself, and that is exactly why it feels real. Chapter 7. The Poverty Reality. The honest side. Now let's talk about what nobody wants to say. Laos is poor. Very poor. Outside of Luang Prabang in Vientiane, villages have dirt roads, wooden houses on stilts, and no running water. Children play barefoot in the mud. Families cook over open fires. Electricity is unreliable. I visited a village near Vang Vieng. The people were kind. They smiled. They offered me water. But I saw the reality. No schools nearby. No clinics. No opportunities. Young people leave for Thailand to work construction or factory jobs. They send money home. It is the only way families survive. And then there is the Chinese influence. China has invested billions in Laos. Roads, dams, the high-speed rail that opened in 2001, connecting Vientiane to the Chinese border. On paper, this is progress. But Laos is now drowning in debt to China. And many fear they are losing sovereignty in exchange for infrastructure. The rail serves Chinese interests more than Lao ones. Tickets are expensive for locals. The economic benefits have not trickled down. Tourism could help. But mass tourism also destroys what makes places special. Luang Prabang is already changing. More hotels. Higher prices. The alms ceremony becoming a photo op instead of a spiritual practice. So here is the uncomfortable question. Is it better for Laos to stay poor and peaceful? Or develop and lose its soul? I do not have the answer. But I know this. The Lao people deserve better opportunities. They deserve education, healthcare, and economic stability. But they also deserve to keep their culture, their pace, their peace. And finding that balance is the challenge. Conclusion. Is Laos worth visiting? So after 2 weeks, is Laos worth visiting? Yes, but not for everyone. If you want beaches, nightlife, luxury resorts, and perfect infrastructure, stay in Thailand. If you want efficiency, modern cities, and endless food options, go to Vietnam. But if you want peace, go to Laos. If you want to sit by a river and watch the sunset without a crowd of tourists taking selfies, if you want to visit temples where locals still pray instead of pose, if you want to eat food that has not been adapted for Western palates, if you want to slow down, breathe, and remember what it feels like to not be in a hurry, then Laos is for you. Laos is not perfect. It is poor. It is slow. It is underdeveloped. But it is also kind. It is calm. It is real. And in a world that moves too fast, that feels like a rare gift. Thailand gets 40 million tourists. Vietnam gets 18 million. Laos gets 4 million. And maybe that is exactly how it should be. Because the moment Laos becomes the next Thailand, it stops being Laos. So if you go now, before the secret gets out. before the crowds arrive, before Laos becomes just another destination. Because right now, it is still the slowest, quietest, most underrated country in Asia. And it is absolutely worth your time. Thanks for watching.